Hi, today I'm going to teach you about an important idea in endgames called the opposition. I'm going to start this lesson by teaching you guys about Zugzwang first. In this position, if it's white to move, white is defending e4 and attacking e5, and white would very much like to not move. If white has to move, for example, to d6, I drop the pawn. So if white is compelled to move, when he doesn't want to, white is in Zugzwang. Being in Zugzwang is a bad thing. Likewise, in this example, black is preventing this pawn from promoting with the king on e8. And if it's black to move, black doesn't want to move. Black wants to keep his king right here, preventing the pawn from promoting. Black is in Zugzwang if it's black to move. When black moves the king, then white will promote the pawn. And so black is in Zugzwang. So now we'll learn about the opposition. The opposition is about a special kind of Zugzwang involving only kings. Let's take a look. In this position, the white king is attacking 3 squares. The black king is also attacking 3 squares. And so the two kings are really not able to move. They're preventing each other from moving. And so this is Zugzwang in the sense that white doesn't want to have to move and give up the 3 squares he's controlling because that might let black through. And likewise, black doesn't want to move because then it'll let white through. This is maybe mutual Zugzwang. Both sides are in Zugzwang. The opposition can happen anywhere on the board, provided that the kings are opposite each other like this. They're attacking these 3 squares and making sure that they can't get through. The opposition can even be rotated 90 degrees, just like this, trying to make sure that the other one can't get through. This is also the opposition. So the vocabulary can be a bit tricky. If I don't want to move, I'm in Zugzwang if I have to move. And if I'm in Zugzwang, then you have the opposition. So if it's the white king to move, the white king doesn't want to move. If I move, I let the black king through. And so if it's white to move, white is in Zugzwang and black has the opposition. Okay, but what's so great about the opposition? The opposition gives you 2 things. One, if the black king wants to be defensive, then whenever the white king tries to get around the 3 squares that black's attacking, black moves and matches the king and keeps the white king from getting through. The white king tries to get through again. The black king matches. The white king tries to get through. The black king matches. Whenever the white king tries to get through, the black king can match. And so the black king has a defensive advantage if he has the opposition. So let's say the black king is the one that wants to get through and the white king is defending. If black has the opposition, that means when white moves, black doesn't have to match it. He's trying to be aggressive. He can actually go around and start attacking some squares. And that's the advantage of having the opposition if you want to be aggressive. Whenever the white king moves, the black king can go around. Whenever the white king moves, the black king can go around. And so when you're being aggressive, having the opposition allows you to break through. So again, to recap, the 2 advantages are if you want to be defensive, you can. If you want to be aggressive, you can. It allows you to be very flexible. Okay, so on this board, I have 2 positions. In both of these positions, it is white to move. And you'll notice in both of these positions, black has the opposition. It's white to move. So when black has the opposition, is it enough to win the game? Because in both positions, black has an extra pawn. Let's take a look. In the position on the left, if the white king, for example, moves down, black can't gain the opposition. The pawn is in the way. So when black moves to the side, it's white that gains the opposition. He's wasted a move, giving black the move, gaining the opposition. The black king moves back, and look, the white king steps up, attacks the pawn, and so the black has to defend the pawn, and we've gotten where we've started. Black has made no progress. If white steps down, black can't take the opposition because the b4 pawn's in the way. So the king maybe tries to break through this way. Again, white takes the opposition against the black king, and when the black king steps back, white just attacks the pawn again. So what we're noticing is that the b4 pawn is getting in the way of the opposition. So as white, if you ever find yourself in this position, the idea is to step on the square such that the pawn is opposite to you. The black king can't step there, and whenever the black king tries to go through, you gain the opposition against the king. Okay, let's say black is sick of this position and decides to just push the pawn. I step in front of the pawn, attacking the pawn. The black king defends the pawn. I step backwards, making sure that black can't gain the opposition because he can't step onto b3. He can't take his own pawn, so he steps this way. I take the opposition against the black king. Black is sick of this. He wants to keep pushing. I step in front of the pawn, and you'll notice something very peculiar here. Black's only way of defending this pawn puts my king in stalemate. Okay, so if we look at the position on the left where the pawn is in the way, we'll notice that the pawn gets in the way of the black king. The black king can't get the white king out of the way, and white is able to get a draw or just repeat the position over and over, and black can't make progress. Okay, so let's turn our attention to the position on the right. If it's white to move, again, black is the opposition. If I try the same stepping back maneuver, the black king just steps up. And now I'm pretty scared because if I step back again, the black king steps up and I'm losing a lot of space. Let's say I step out of the way, you're now defending the g1 square, and this is going to get pretty bad pretty quick. I can't stop this pawn from queening because you're defending the queening square. Okay, so let's say as white I try a little bit harder. Instead of stepping backwards, I step to the side. Black doesn't have to match me. Black can go through. Black is the opposition, so when I step out of the way, he goes through. If I go up towards this pawn, well, the pawn is running down the board defended by the king. So I can never take this pawn. The pawn's just going to run me by, and then queen itself. Okay, so back in the starting position one more time. One more look about how white might try to fight back. Let's say I step out of the way, the king steps through, and I decide to step back in front of this pawn. Well, what black can do is black can step to g4, getting the opposition. By stepping to g4 opposite my king and giving me the move, black has gained the opposition. Again, I have to step to the side or step to the side, but notice that we've moved one square down the board. Black has made progress. I step out of the way, the black king goes through again. I don't dare to step here because then he gets the opposition again. So I run up towards the pawn, and the pawn is being brought to the end by this king. It's creating some squares that I just can't get through. All of these squares are being defended, and black should be able to win this game by running the pawn down the board and using the opposition to his advantage. Okay, so the general rule here is that when black has the opposition, black can win if the pawn's not getting in the way. Black can force his way through. But there's one last thing to be aware of, and that is if it's a rook pawn, if the pawns are on the side of the board, when I step out of the way, hello, you can't go around me because you're at the edge of the board. You can't go off the board around me. So the black king just can't make it through, and this should be a draw. This should be a draw because the black king can't make it through. It kind of has to go around, and then I start running up to this pawn. So the rook pawn is a special version of this position where black can't break through. Okay, so I've shown some very basic ideas of Zugzwang. There's more to learn on that. And I've shown some very basic ideas of the opposition. There's more to learn on that. And I've also shown when you can win with the king pawn versus king and when it becomes a draw. So hopefully you've learned something from this video. I'll be releasing more king pawn endgames and other kinds of endgame videos later. But until then, let me know in the comments if you guys have other ideas of videos that I can make. So thanks. Bye.